Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm doing a full solo playthrough of 20 Strong Solar Sentinels. This is a solo-only dice game system by Chip Theory Games. You can play with different expansion decks from their other games like Too Many Bones or Hoplomachus Victorium. I'm going to be playing with the Solar Sentinels, which is kind of like the base game. There's some kind of story here about the Earth in crisis, and the Sentinels are humanity's last line of defense against an invading alien horde. Here's the invading alien horde down here. You have 45 cards. You want to shuffle those up and put them into 3 stacks of 15. There's 4 boss cards. You want to shuffle those off and just put them off to the side. And then you can choose whether or not you want to play with mission cards. If it's your first couple of games, maybe you want to leave those out. I'm going to go ahead and give them a go. So what you want to do is shuffle up all the different mission cards and deal out 4 in a line. And then you're going to choose one of them to remove so that you just have 3 to deal with. And you want to keep them in the order that you dealt them out in, because we're going to have to complete these missions in order, going from left to right. I've already done all that, so our first mission that we're going to need to do is Never Surrender. It says that we're going to need to activate 3 or more enemies in a single activation. I'll explain what that means in a little bit. The last thing we needed to do as part of setup was to pick a hero. I decided to go with Valkyrie Mark 7. They have a pretty simple special ability. It's adaptive armor. It says that when you select Valkyrie Mark 7 during the game setup, which is right now, you can increase your stat dice by a total of 2. So we have our 3 stats here: health, strategy, and recovery. And I've gone ahead and I've bumped up recovery by 1 and strategy by 1. And just so you know, the game comes with these dice instead, but they're a little hard to read, so I've replaced them with my own. Make it a little easier to see what my stats are. And there we go. We have our 17 dice put into our dice pool, and that is it. Setup is done. We're ready to begin. And don't worry if you don't know how to play, because I'm going to teach the rules as we go, just like I always do. So let's just dive right in. So the first thing we have to do every round is to activate one of these 3 face-up enemies. We have our basic enemies here in yellow, and then we have mandatory enemies in orange with these little slats going down the side. If there's a mandatory enemy showing, we have to select that one first. So in this case, we don't really have a choice. We have to select the mandatory one. You always immediately reveal the next card. In fact, you could have these piles face up, but I find it's a little too easy to cheat and see what the next few cards are going to be. So I like to have them face down and just reveal them as I go. This is going to be the enemy that we have to face for the round. This is the Ichor Blight. And this is kind of a funny one to start with. Again, I don't script these plays, so we're just going to have to deal with it. It's funny because it has 4 health, as you can see right here. And then this 0, that's the amount of damage it's going to do to us if we don't defeat it this round. We start with 3 health. So you can see down here, a lot of these enemies, if we don't defeat them, they're going to do quite a bit of damage to us. This one won't hurt us at all, so why are we even bothering dealing with it? Well, if we're able to defeat it, we will be able to get this cool special ability. So it might be worth it for us to take it down. It does have a little special condition that activates right away, and it says a max of 2 dice can be applied to this enemy. And that brings us to the strategy phase, where we're going to select any number of dice from our dice pool to roll, and we're going to be using those dice to attack and defeat these enemies. You can see here we have 5 different colors of dice, and each color has a different combination of hits on it. Every single one of these has exactly 1 critical hit. That's that face showing right there, or right here on the red die. Critical hits essentially do 2 damage. We then have regular hits, which are just these little stars that you see there. Those do 1 damage, and then we have misses. The red die is special because there are no misses on it. It's just one side is a critical, and the other 5 sides are hits. The purple dice have 4 sides that are hits. Blue have 3. Green have 2. And the yellow have 1 side that's a hit. And during this strategy phase, we can select any number and any combination of these dice to roll in combat to try to take out this enemy. But with this enemy, we can only assign 2 dice to it in order to do hits. That's that special ability. And because it has 4 health, the only way we're going to be able to defeat this is by assigning 2 critical hits. And since all of our dice only have one side that has a critical, they're all basically the same in this case for trying to attack this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our weakest dice. I'm going to do 3 of them. We're just going to roll those and see if we can't get lucky and get some critical hits. Okay, there we go. We rolled them and we got no criticals. We got 1 regular hit and 2 misses. At this point, we could apply as many of these dice as we wanted to the enemy, except this one will only let us apply 2. And so we don't want to apply any of those dice. We're just going to not apply anything. And that was essentially round 1 of our strategy phase. But right now we have a strategy value of 3. So that means we get to take 3 strategy phases each round. So that was the first strategy phase. Now we're going to the second strategy phase. And if we wanted to, we could take more dice and roll them. And we would take as many dice as we wanted and then re-roll everything that we haven't assigned to an enemy. In this case, I don't want to take any more. I just want to sort of roll these 3 again. Okay, we actually got 3 misses this time. Again, I don't want to assign any of these. So now we're going to go to the third strategy phase because our value is 3. I'm not going to add any more dice. I'm just going to re-roll these again. And okay, we got 3 more misses. Okay, so there we go. That was our 3 strategy phases. We did not defeat this enemy. So we're now going to go to the resolve phase. Every undefeated enemy would do damage to us. So in this case, we're taking 0 damage. There could potentially be some other effects that happen. They're known as after effects. We'll see them later, but this enemy doesn't have after effects, so we can skip that. We then exhaust all the dice that we used. So we're going to put the dice that we used over here in an exhaust pile. We now get to recover dice equal to our recover stat, which in this case is 3. So we're going to get to take these 3 dice right back, which is why I only rolled 3 dice to begin with. We would then get to take any enemies that we defeated and take them for their item. Each enemy has a reward that you can get when you defeat it. Some of them are sort of instant items, like the ones here with that little lightning bolt symbol. Those would be things that you would get right away. Some of these are ongoing effects, like this would have been. But because we didn't defeat the enemy, we're not going to get those items. And so all we get to do is discard the card. You still discard the enemy, even though you didn't defeat it. And then the last thing you get to do is to discard 1 card from the tops of these decks. But it must be a non-mandatory card, so we couldn't discard this Berserker. We have to pick between these 2. This one has particularly high health, so we'll discard that one. And again, you immediately reveal the next one. And there you go, that's it. That was a complete round of the game. We're going to keep doing this until one of these stacks is completely empty of cards. At that point, we'll be able to take on one of these bosses. And if we defeat that boss, then we win. We'll lose if our health ever gets to 0. And that's pretty much it. Let's jump right into round 2. Okay, we have a mandatory enemy, so we have no choice but to activate that one. It has 4 health. If we don't kill it, it will do 2 damage to us, and it has an after effect. That means that this is going to happen after the strategy phase, whether we destroy the enemy or not. It says that we're going to count the total number of applied dice, and then we'll get to discard that many cards from the tops of any of the stacks, one at a time. So ideally, we'll apply 4 dice to this Berserker, and we'll get to remove 4 cards. That would be great. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab 4 dice right away. It's going to be these. Well, that was a fantastic roll. Let's go ahead and apply these hits. That's going to be 3 of the 4 damage that we need. And we did roll a crit, but I'm going to actually re-roll this so that it's a hit. So we're going to our second strategy phase. I'm not going to take any more dice. I'm just going to roll this one. Boom. Got the hit that we need. There's the 4 hits to kill this enemy. Because we killed it, we're not going to suffer any damage. We're now going to resolve that after effect. So we assigned 4 dice. So we're going to get to remove 4 cards and discard them. I think since we've already started working on this pile, let's just hit this pile, at least to start with. This looks like a dangerous enemy, so that's going to be 1. Now, because this is an after effect, we can, in fact, discard mandatory enemies with this ability. That said, I'm not sure I want to. Let's get rid of this one for 2. Ooh. Get rid of this one for 3. All right, I think I'll get rid of this one for 4. Oh boy. Okay, we're then going to exhaust the dice. We then get to recover 3 of them. So let's take those back. And then we get to gain the item rewards. We just have this one here, which is an automatic reward that's just going to give us +2 to our health. So our health goes from 3 to 5. Wonderful. Now, the most that stat can get to is 6. That's true of all the stats. We then discard that card, and we can discard 1 more, but we can't discard these mandatory ones, so it's got to be this one. Okay, there we go. That was round 2. During activation, we have 2 mandatory enemies, so we have to choose between these 2. Now, I want you to look at this Parablight. It has that symbol there, that plus skull. If we were to activate this enemy, that means we'd have to activate a second enemy as well. And that can keep going. If the next enemy you activate has that, you have to activate another one. And that's how we're going to be able to complete this mission here, where it says we need to activate 3 or more enemies in a single activation. Now, the problem is I don't want to activate this and then have to activate that. Because these are a little contradictory. I think I might just activate this one on its own for now. So let's just do that. This Plasma Blight has a special ability that activates right away. It says that this enemy cannot be defeated unless it has hits from at least 4 different die colors applied to it. So let's just go ahead and take these 4, all different colors, and let's just have this be our first strategy roll. Oh, wow. Amazing. So let's apply these hits and that crit. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. We need either a crit or 2 hits. We have 2 more rolls at it, so let's go ahead. Let's get a green in there. So we're going to add the green, and we get to re-roll everything that we haven't applied. So these are applied, but we can re-roll this. We're always going to get a hit with this one, so we might as well re-roll it. We might get a crit. So this is strategy phase 2. Okay, and there we go. Boom, we got the crit that we needed. So we can apply that. 2 crits, 2 hits. That's the 6 damage. This thing has been defeated. We move right to recovery. We're not taking any damage. There's no after effects. We have the 4 different colors that we needed in order to defeat it. We have to exhaust all of the dice. The ones we used as well as the one we didn't use. So those all go into the exhausted pile. But we get to recover 3. So we always recover our best dice here. And then we can gain our reward, which is an item that has an ongoing special ability. So we're just going to set it off to the side here. We're able to hold as many items as our strategy level. So since our strategy stat is at 3, we can hold up to 3 items at one time. So this item is Horde DNA. This says that once per round, we can exhaust one die from our die pool in order to change a hit into a crit. That'll be a great use for some of our weaker dice. So that's fantastic. We'll just set that there to remember that we have that. Yeah, let's put it right here. We now do cleanup. We're able to discard one of the cards from these piles, but not a mandatory. We're really working on this pile here, so let's just get rid of that guy. All right, excellent. Okay, next round, we have to activate that mandatory enemy. Oh no. And here we go. It has a skull, so we have to activate another one, and we just revealed another mandatory enemy, so we have to activate that one. It also has a skull. Oh my gosh. So we have to activate another one, and we have this mandatory. Oh no. Oh, thankfully that one doesn't have a skull, so we're done, but we're now in a heap of trouble. Okay, we have a lot of special abilities to go over here. Now this Parablite says that each enemy can have only one die color applied to them. That's a little bit brutal. Now this enthralled kin is a little funny. It says that a max of 3 dice can be committed this engagement. The engagement is like the entire round, so like all 3 strategy phases. That's obviously problematic, but they only have 1 health. And these special abilities go away immediately once you've killed the enemy. So all we have to do is, roll the red die, put it on there, and that special ability is wiped out, and we'll be able to add more dice in the further, the second and the third strategy phase. But it has an extra little thing here that says, when defeated, if this was the first enemy defeated, then you place it back on top of one of these decks. So ideally, we'd like to defeat the Parablite first, and then defeat the Enthralled Kin. And I think we might be able to do it. I'll have to get a little lucky. This Total War Spore has a after effect. So it's not going to affect anything right now, but we're going to be rolling the 3 weakest dice committed this engagement. And if we get at least 2 hits, then we're going to have to banish one of our purple dice. That means remove it from the game completely. So we actually want to roll some of our yellows, maybe even all of our yellows, to avoid that. First things first, we can only use a max of 3 dice here. We can only commit that many. So let's go ahead and commit our 3 strongest. And actually, before we do that, I just realized we now have completed Never Surrender, this mission. We have activated 3 enemies during 1 activation. So we can flip that mission over, that one is done, and now we're on to our next one, which says that's just showing off. Ignore 2 separate lightning rewards instead of gaining them. Okay, that's something we'll have to do in the future. Okay, let's roll and hope we get lucky. Yes! Okay, we got lucky. We're going to use our Horde DNA. This special ability, once per round, you may exhaust 1 die from your die pool. Actually going to exhaust a green in order to change a hit into a crit. And so now we have this crit and this hit. They're the same color because remember, we can only assign 1 color to each of the enemies right now. But that's going to be enough to defeat this Parablite. We just turn the card like that to show that it's been defeated, and so that special ability is no longer applied. It immediately goes away, and so now we can assign different colors to the different enemies. And then our red die got a hit, so we can now put that onto the Enthralled Kin. That's enough to kill it. It was the second enemy that was defeated, so we don't have to return it to a stack. And its special ability goes away, so we're no longer limited to a max of 3 dice. Fantastic. And we use that Now, that was our first strategy phase. We now get to go to our second of 3 strategy phases, and we can decide here what we want to do. And we definitely want to... Yeah, we definitely want to attack this, and I think we want to do it with yellow, but man, how are we going to get to 5? 5 health is going to be hard to do without committing a lot of our dice. We could just take the hit, but we at least want to roll 3 yellows to avoid banishing a purple, I think. Or do we just not worry about it? Okay, I think I'm kind of worried about the number of dice it's going to take to defeat this. I'm just going to take the hit. So we're just going to ignore this. We're not going to commit any more dice. We're going to end the strategy phase. We'll be taking 3 damage, which is not ideal. We now have to roll our 3 weakest dice, and... Oh, man, actually we got pretty close there. But we did roll 2 hits, so we're going to have to permanently banish one of our purple dice. Now, it doesn't say that we have to banish it from our pool, so we'll banish one that we've committed. I think that's allowed. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, these are going to get exhausted. We can now recover 3. And we don't get that item, but we can take these 2 items. Now, these 2 have that symbol, which means it's a one-time use. You can use it once, and then it gets discarded. So we're going to have a stun gun here, which is going to let us discard 1 level 2 enemy. These are all level 1s. From any engagement, and then it'll just get discarded. We won't get the reward. And then this Blood Thresher, it's going to let us use a hit on a red die to deal 3 damage. And again, that's just a one-time use. And because of our 3 strategy level, we can hold 3 items. So we're all good to go. And now, again, at the end of every round, we get to discard a card of our choice. We can discard any of these. I think I want to discard this one. Oh, and man, we revealed another mandatory. So we've got to fight it. It's got that skull. So now we can pick from any of these. So this is going to make it so we can't apply critical hits to enemies. That's annoying. We might end up just using our special abilities right away. Actually, now let's go here. We're going to do this Mess of Maggots. It has an after effect where if we use a red or purple hit and it's applied to an enemy, then we'll get to discard the top card from all 3 stacks. That's not bad. Here, I'm going to put these dice in this box to show that they are exhausted. Let's go ahead and just move those over like that. And then I'm going to take all the blue and the red. And I'm doing that because when we defeat the Mess of Magnets, we'll be able to get this bottled water, which will let us recover all of our blue dice. So let's go ahead and roll. Okay, cool. We're going to apply these. And we'll use our Blood Thresher. So that hit is actually 3, 4, 5. The Swarm Ripostle is dead. That's good. That means we can now apply critical hits. And I'm thinking I should probably bring a purple along. This will be strategy phase 2. Okay, there we go. A crit and a hit. That's the 3 that we need to defeat the maggots. Beautiful. So this after effect comes into play. We did use a red. So we get to discard 1 card from the top of each stack. We'll exhaust all of these dice. Get to recover 3. We now get to gain our items. So first we'll gain this bottled water. We have room for it because we use this. And we're going to use this immediately to recover our blue dice. And then we can take this Relic of Scab. We can use that one time in order to gain 5 health or discard one of these non-mandatory enemies. We use this item. And now we get to discard one of these two. Let's get rid of this. Okay, there we go. End of the round. Okay, we have another mandatory enemy. And it has the skull, so which one of these do we want? Yeah, let's go with the Crater Stalker. So the drone alone is saying that for each roll dice step, we're going to count the number of rolled misses, and then we're going to take that same number of hits and re-roll them. So that could be a little brutal. Crater Stalker is saying that in the dice roll step, we'll get -1 heart for each die color that rolls 2 or more hits. Boy, I really don't like that. I'm tempted to just use my stun gun and get rid of that because it is a level 2 enemy. Yeah, you know what? I don't feel like dealing with this. We'll use this and just discard that. We get no reward for doing that, but now at least we have something simple here. And I guess let's just use... Man, if we could just use 2 dice, that would be amazing. And we could use our Horde DNA. Yeah, let's see what happens here. The other thing we could do is just take this hit, because we have this, which is going to give us +5 health. Well, let's see what we can do. Okay, well, there we go. We have 1 crit. And we could just use this DNA to turn that into a crit. Well, let's try again. Let's roll again. Chance of rolling a miss are... Okay, we just rolled the crit. Okay, perfect. We didn't even have to use that. That's great, because to use this, you have to exhaust a die, so we got away with it. That's the 4 that we needed. And now the question is, it's hard to turn down this, but remember, in order to complete this mission, we do need to ignore 2 of these. Now, just so you know, we don't just automatically fail if we don't do these missions. We could ignore them. It's going to make the final boss more difficult for each one of these that we don't complete. So it's not critical that we complete it. And in fact, I doubt we're going to complete this one. Well, first things first anyway. We exhaust these dice. Then we get to recover dice. So we can recover 3. We then can gain this reward. And I think I will take it. And it's going to let us get our recovery up to 4, which will be really useful. I get rid of this. Ooh. Yeah, let's get rid of this. For our cleanup. So this pile is very low at the moment. Now we have an actual choice because we don't have any mandatory out. I kind of like the War Spore here because I could ignore that. Recover 2 dice. I probably won't need to do that. Yeah. I kind of like this as just sort of a setup. Let's just go ahead and roll 2. Oh, whoops. Gotta turn this up. Oof. Okay. Now for the War Spore, it says, in the roll dice step, misses from previous strategy phases are not re-rolled. So I don't get to re-roll that. That is a little annoying. We'll go ahead. Now this was a hit, so that's not a miss. And I'm just not going to apply it. I'm going to add this die and roll these 2. Okay, there we go. Yeah, let's go ahead and use this, exhaust a yellow die to turn this into a crit. So we killed the War Spore. We're going to ignore that lightning effect. So this is a little counter you can use to just mark that, okay, we've done this once. We need to do it twice before we complete that mission. These go in here, and now we can recover 4. Let's go ahead and discard this. Let's just try to get through this deck. Yeah, let's just go ahead and try to get through this. We'll use that one. It says a max of 4 dice can be committed to this engagement. Only want to use 3. And there we go. Easy defeat. We'll exhaust, and then we can recover 4. So there we go. We've got all of our dice back. And the item we have here, the filter grid, it says that we can flip the top boss card face up. And if there was one already face up, it would get discarded. So let's just go ahead and use that right away. We can see what boss we're going to be facing. And it looks like we have the Mother Spore. Oh, wow. So it says a max of 1 die of each color can be applied in each applied dice step. At the end of each applied dice step, -1 heart for each committed miss. Okay, interesting. Has 9 health. It's definitely nice to know. Well, this gutter die is pretty interesting. It says if you suffered any damage in the engagement's suffer damage step, add a plus skull to the next engagement. But the reward here is just recover all your dice. So, I mean, we can just throw as much as we want at this and recover everything. It might be worth trying to have a go at this to get the special ability. The only danger is, you know, we might uncover a mandatory enemy, but having this here and letting us recover all of our dice right before, it's really good. Yeah, let's go ahead and we're gonna activate that guy. Now, actually, did I forget to discard one of these? I can't remember if I forgot to discard one of these at the end of the last round. It's so easy to forget that. I'm almost positive that I did forget to discard. So I could just discard this right away. I don't think I'm going to, though. I think I'll discard this. Okay. Ugh. Wow. Don't like him. Yeah, and then we will do this. Okay, perfect, perfect. So we have Drone Alone 2 here. That's what we're activating. And it says that for each crit you apply to an enemy, you must first exhaust an unapplied hit. Now, that's all well and good. We don't need that to defeat this, especially with this coming up. So I think let's just go ahead. Let's just go ahead and we'll save these. Let's go ahead and just roll. Yeah, we'll just roll these greens to start with. Wow. 4 misses, huh? Okay, we'll add the red to this. And we'll go for our second roll. Okay, there we go. 3 hits. That's better. Although, we'll just re-roll that one. Well, let's just go ahead. We can just use that crit. Discard that. And there we go. That's the 4 that we need to defeat it. We can recover these 4. And now we have cheese pizza. At the start of each round, you get +1 heart if you have 3 hearts or fewer. Excellent. That's going to come in handy right away. Now we can discard. Yeah, I don't like this guy. And now, hey, it's the start of the round, so we get to increase by 1. And I say, let's just go ahead and end this, I think. Actually, now that I think about this, I don't know if I want to go into this. I want to complete that mission. I think I will go for this one. I'm going to hope that I can get a lightning effect that I can ignore so that I can complete that mission. That will be better for us before we go in and face this this boss, because for each of these we haven't completed, we're gonna have to draw an extra. It's like this boss has an extra skull, so it's gonna have extra minions with it, and that could be really bad. So let's do this. This seems easy enough. Ugh, we're not really uncovering what we want. I think rather than committing any dice here, we're just going to take the hit. It's just 1 damage. We don't really care about that. Can now remove one of these. Get rid of that. Okay, I get a heart back because of that. I got to recover this die because we didn't even commit any. I think I'm going to do a similar thing here. Yeah, let's bring this forward. Activate that. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is what we were looking for. That's what we wanted. So we'll just let this hit us again. We're not going to attack it because it doesn't matter. We don't need this special ability. Does 1 damage to us. We'll do this, get rid of that. We'll recover 1. Ooh, and now we have 2 options. This one has a little less health. This is a little bit easier to deal with, I think. Oh yeah, so we'll take that on. We need to do 6 damage. But hits on yellow and green deal 2 damage instead of 1. I like it. So let's bring our red into the equation. Let's get 2 green. Actually, let's just get 3 green going. And we can get lucky. Oh my goodness. Okay, well we got a crit there. Let's re-roll these. We just need 2 hits. Feels doable. Okay, we got a crit. I guess we'll be getting all of our dice back anyway, so let's just grab... Oh, this is our last roll. Well, surely this will work. Wow, risked it. That counts as 2, so there's our 6. We did it. Wow, that was risky. We'll ignore this this item, so that will be the 2 that we need to complete that mission. Our last mission is to defeat 6 1-level enemies. I have no interest in trying to do that, so we're not going to worry about that. We'll just get our 4 dice back. Get to discard one of these. Discard this one. And now I think we're ready to just get to the end. So we'll deal with this one, clearing out this pile. Oh, at the start of the round, this goes from 3 to 4. Now, the problem is, if we defeat this, in order to get this item, we can only hold 3 items. So we'll have to get rid of an item in order to put this item in order to use the recover all your dice. Well, that's fine. Let's just go ahead and nail this thing. That's 2 hits. Yeah, let's just make sure that we get this. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we'll use one of these to convert that into a crit. That's the 8 that we need. We got him. We'll go ahead and we'll use this item. And we'll just take the maxed out health. So we'll just get our health all the way up to 6. And then we'll take this item and we'll use it right away in order to get all of our dice back. Now that we've exhausted one of the stacks, we can, if we want to, move on to the end game and face the boss. And I think I do. So we just activate the top boss. And we got a peek at this one. This is the Mother Spore. And they do have one skull here. And so we treat it just like we would any other skull. We have to take one of these two face up and add it. I really don't like that one, so we're going to go with this one right here. Now at this point we ignore that skull, but we do have to add another enemy because we failed to finish one of our missions. Oh man, so we have two terrible choices here. We have to either add the big sucker here, which means that hits can only be applied to enemies in matching colored pairs. That's real bad because we can only do a max of 1 die of each color. Yeah, so I don't think we can do that one. I think we have to go here. This says, in the roll dice step, change all rolled hits to misses, except for the red die, and all rolled misses to hits. Yeah, I think we have to do that. We might have to take one of these guys out. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is we don't have to defeat all of these enemies. We just have to defeat the boss. As soon as we defeat the boss, we win. Problem is, we're going to take a damage for every one of our misses. And then here, with this one, it says, in the roll dice step, if you roll 4 or more hits, discard this enemy with no reward. Oh, okay, that's fine. So we don't have to worry about this guy. This one's a problem, though. So let's see. What are we going to use here? We can definitely use the red, because this doesn't apply to the red. A max of 1 die of each color can be applied in each applied dice step. Okay, so that's just overall. That's not even just to each enemy. Okay, let's get a couple of yellows. And maybe a couple of greens. I don't know. There's no reason to do more than one, is there? Although we might accidentally get a hit. That's the problem. Okay, let's just try this. Oh, no! Oh, that was terrible on those green dice. That's going to really hurt us. Now, the question is, can I use this to change one of those hits into a crit? And does this apply to crits? Is a crit a hit? That's the question. I believe that a crit is considered to be a hit. So we just got really unlucky there. There's nothing we can do. We'll apply... Well, these get turned to hits. And these get turned to misses because of that. I mean, I think this guy goes away because we rolled 4 or more hits. I'm going to use this to turn this to a crit. Just so we can have the 5 that we need here to stop this. Oh, but I can't apply 2 yellows. Oh, because of this. I can only apply 1 yellow. Ugh. Okay, so... Oh, we got so screwed. So maybe we won't change that. We'll just keep it like that. Or possibly just attack the... Why don't we just attack this? And we could change that to a crit. Use that. I mean, that's 4 of the 9 that we need, right? But we're going to take 2 hits, so we're going to be down to 4 health. Yeah, let's just try this again. So this will be number 2. So that gets converted to a miss. These get converted to hits. And then we can apply both of those. So that's 4, 5, 6. We're 3 away from killing it. And we're going to take 1 damage. You know what? Let's just go for the win. We should totally just go for the win, right? Let's just take all of these. I mean, we can roll everything, right? Because we just need 3 more hits. If we just roll everything. And misses our hits. So there we go. Hit, hit, hit. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is now gone and dead. So we're not losing 1 for every miss because it's gone. And I think we win instantly when it dies, but even if we didn't... Also, it says a max of 1 die color. That's now gone. So all these hits can apply to this now. Or no, actually, all these would get switched. So these are all misses. But that's a hit. That can apply. All these are misses. But we're not losing 1 health for that. And so now we're done. We get 2 damage from this one because it's still alive. But we still have 1 health and the boss is dead. So I think that's it. I think that's a win. If I understand how this works, I think that's a victory. I'm not sure. I might have misunderstood how something works there, but anyway, either way, that is a complete solo game of 20 strong Solar Sentinels. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.